that day's just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke.
It could be you. It happened to me. Never thought it could happen to me.
On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke.
What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of You're Too Young to Have a Stroke. It is October, so we have decided to come back and do some episodes for you because October is AVM Awareness Month. And in this month, Christina and myself are both AVM rupture survivors, and we wanted to bring information and awareness to this particular monster, this condition, this one of my guests that I'm going to have today says murderer. So we wanted to bring light to it so we can have understanding of what this is all about, so we can bring awareness so people can have a fighting chance against this silly, ridiculous condition. So without any further ado, I'm very curious to see my sister, the one that keeps me on my toes each and every week that we have our show. I haven't seen her in a couple of months, so hopefully she's still glorious and glamorous and her spunky self. Christina Perez, how you doing, my sister?
I am. Hey!
What's up? What have you been up to, man? I haven't seen you in a minute. What's good?
I know. Living life, enjoying life, living, working, living. Yes, absolutely. Traveling a lot.
Traveling. Where you been going to, girl? Let's talk, man. What you been doing? Home? You been coming up to NJ?
Jersey 973.
Oh, okay.
I've been going up north to visit my mother, who I know I've mentioned during the show, who is diagnosed with dementia, a very very aggressive form of dementia. So I've been blessed to be able to drive up there. I took 2 road trips and stay with my childhood BFF up there with my dogs and my girl, and been able to go visit my mother and be home, eat some bagels. It's been nice.
Well,
and yourself?
I hope that was great for you, because I really missed you, and just being on the show and talking with everybody. It's refreshing to actually see that big old smile, that beautiful smile of yours, and to get you to tell me off each and every week that we have our show. So I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that we're back. And this is, even though we're smiling right now, is a very somber thing that we're talking about, awareness for AVMs, because without this, I don't know if we would have not, but without this AVM thing, you and I would never have connected, because that's what is actually connecting us. We had this condition in our brains that ruptured, and we both have a shunt inside of our heads, and we just connected and gelled off of that. But I don't think a lot of people understand what we're doing with this, because we always talk about you're too young to have a stroke. We don't talk about the AVM part. So I wanted to bring a lot of awareness, and I know you wanted to. So, what do you feel about this? How do you feel about, talking about this particular topic?
I am in absolute agreement with you as far as us connecting. It took a while before my diagnosis, but just like our title, You're Too Young to Have a Stroke, but essentially what really connects us and the reason why we're able to continue on is because due to our AVMs, that ruptured, we had strokes. So it's not that we're just a stroke survivor, we are AVM survivors. And unfortunately, today, first episode, I could not be more honored that we have Gina today, whose daughter actually passed due to the rupture. Her daughter did not survive as we did. So I am more than honored, and I'm so happy you're with us today. And Greg, look, we have Gina.
Yeah,
Gina.
Gina is a very close friend of mine. You know, I met her through Instagram, and we talked about the same thing that you and I have talked about, this AVM. But it was a little bit more somber when I spoke to Gina, because her daughter Paige is the one that had the AVM, and her daughter passed away from it. I had an opportunity to meet Gina, and me and her have talked and discussed in length about different things about her foundation and what she actually does to try to help bring awareness to this. So I wanted to make sure that we started off this month of AVM awareness with Gina from the Paige Keely Foundation. Hello, Gina. How you doing?
Hi, Greg, and hi, Christina. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be part of it.
Cool. So can you tell me a little bit more about what the Paige Keely Foundation is? And then I want to know more about that beautiful girl that you have in the background. And can you tell us about what actually happened that day that, unfortunately, that killer came into you guys' life?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you everything possible. Uh, the Paige Keely Foundation was started in honor of Paige. I was told after she passed that what she had was a brain arteriovenous malformation. No idea. Never heard of that in my entire life. She was a perfect looking child inside and out. Every milestone, everything was hit. It was perfection. And until that day, and when the doctor said that it was something she was likely born with, and my question was, how did I not know? And his response, unfortunately, was, there really is no way to know until it ruptures. It's, we call them ticking time bombs, but the worst thing I heard was that it was treatable. If I had known that it was there and where it was and everything, she would have survived. But because of the way that it was, I mean, her chances, if when it ruptured, I found out were she never had a chance. So I heard that and I sat on it for a really long time, and I just went through the black hole of every emotion, the worst thing possible a parent could think of. And my girlfriend took me out to lunch on my birthday right before COVID, and said, Gina, you should start a foundation. Like, you're just meant for that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why? And she goes, you're just so passionate about Paige. And I just feel that this is something you could do. And I'm like, I don't know. So she slid like paperwork across the table and she's like, here's the start. And during COVID, I just started talking to hundreds of people around the world. And we all had the same story, whether our loved ones or children lived or survived. If we had known, it was likely treatable. Yes, they were born with it. And that just burned me, because in the world of early detection, this is not, I'm not having it. And I've been hell bent, and every penny that comes in is a fight for early detection. I wanted to do an imaging center, a lot of moving pieces and parts. We got to get research, but just getting the word out there, making people aware, talking to their pediatricians, and finding more about connecting with people about it.
Gina, I have questions for you, and it's like I went to the gala last year that you guys had, and thank you for recognizing the work that I've done in the AVM community. I was the shining star for 2022, but there was something that really troubled me, even with my speech. There was like a wall or hallway you have to go through to get to actually to the reception area, the dinner area, and through that wall were basically, I would call them my heroes, because these are all the children. And Christine, I'm talking about children, newborns who probably like 16 years old, that died from what we had. So I know at the moment, I'm getting an award from doing the job that I'm doing. But I'm looking, I'm like, all these beautiful children didn't
Never
make
had
it.
chance.
No.
Didn't have a chance to actually experience life like I have. And I felt terrible actually being there because I wanted these children to live instead of myself. So I have a question for you, Gina. What is being done, like with this Paige Keely Foundation? What are you trying to accomplish with this, so I don't have to walk through a longer hallway of people that die from this despicable thing that we don't really like to talk about, AVM?
The ultimate goal here is to get the word out to people at the earliest stages possible, to make parents aware. There are genetic markers that could be in my body that are passed along to my kids from my parents, my grandparents. Finding out if people turn up positive for this, which will give them the option. You could be predisposed to brain AVMs, aneurysms, bleeding disorders, etc. There is an option out there for you to get tested. And I want that to become the everyday. You have a baby, you're talked to about this. The things that parents and couples go through to try and conceive a child, and all of the things that you can find out about that unborn child are mind blowing. But in addition to that, there are newborn screening panels that are done. Each state usually has a different one. And I have a program out there that hasn't been passed yet, but it's called Paige's Law. And it is to add specific genetic markers to each newborn baby born in the state of New York. If they test positive, hopefully we will help direct the parents where to go. Talk to your pediatrician, insist about getting them tested, insist about brain imaging. I get it. It's not easy to image a child, but we go to the pediatrician, they will shoot our kids with like 5 different vaccines just because this is what you have to do. You got to do it. All of these things, and brain imaging, the magnetic imaging especially, it's usually around 7 to 10 minutes. Is not invasive, but that is really the only way, unless you show a sign or symptom, which is so rare with this disease. I will tell you, some of the research that our foundation is now working on are aiding different ways to image as far as infants, children, looking at different technology to try and get imaging to where, you don't have to put somebody through a tube, and imaging a little child is very difficult. But we are assisting with amazing people to hopefully fine tune some different ways to image for this. But it's awareness. It's getting it out in the schools. Parents need to know that this is something that could be stirring inside of their child. And the faster that you find it is the fastest way to living a normal, happy, healthy life. One child is too many children. But I've had 2 in my own daughter's school district.
Really?
Same thing. Yeah, 2 children. And the symptoms are just like yours. Worst headaches of their lives. Pages came on in minutes. This other child had headaches for a good week that I know of, and he lost his life at the end. And I get it. Pediatricians, doctors, people. If you don't know about it, why would you think about it? So you need to know about it. Talk more about it. Think about it. Why is this kid having all these headaches? They came in, they had headaches, they vomited, they're unconscious. That's not normal. Could be a concussion, it could be anything. You gotta look more into it. Look into their eyes, look further. And parents need to demand. If you go into an emergency room, don't just walk out and accept a headache. I wouldn't. I did it with my own son not too long ago. I said, I'm not leaving here until you image his brain.
Right.
One more
Right.
time. Because this kid's coming home with headaches every single day. Turned out he had migraines, but I was like, I don't care. I'm not leaving. And I said, if something happens to him, it's going to be on you. So you got to be forceful.
Christina, let me ask you something. Hearing this, because I don't know if you ever dealt with, pediatrics dealing with, people that have AVM. So hearing this and how this affecting you, hearing these stories, hearing Gina's story about her daughter and how she has to live life now. When her other children have headaches, she's automatically on it. How does that affect you and what does that make you think of?
Honestly, it brings a fear for me. We spoke a little bit before we went on live, and Gina had asked me if I have any children, and I said I have puppies. However, I do want to be a mother, and being just like Gina said, the little research that's done as far as you're born with this. We were born with this. Whether or not that's something I would pass on to my child, none of that is proven. It brings a sense of fear, a sense of sadness, of course. It's frightening. It's frightening because just as Gina was saying that, the headaches and onset of feeling and vomiting and things that's what we went through. But we're adults. And Paige, um, as much as, she went through not being able to just verbally completely advocate for herself. It's scary. It's so scary. And both of you being parents, I could only imagine. I absolutely do not feel and can't say that I do completely understand, but as someone who wants to be a mother and has an AVM, it's frightening. It's really frightening for me.
Okay, I
Biggest
definitely understand that. Go ahead, Gina.
It's your biggest fear, and it's scary because most doctors, and I can't speak for but the ones that I was seeing with my children and my family right after losing Paige, I was kind of almost shut down right away when I said, "Can you get my kids in for scanning?" And they were like, "The chances that this could go on," and I'm like, the chances that I'm sitting here talking to you and I lost a child from this and that you're not advocating, you're not pushing to do this for me to hopefully, it was completely, I don't go to that pediatrician's office anymore. But all the parents that I talk to out there, I'm going to say all, but most, I say this, we all say the same thing. Like, did your pediatrician help get your other kids scanned? No, the chances are so slim. The chances are so slim that you're ever going to lose a child. So I do not accept that as an answer. And no parent should. None, especially when we know that there's a simple way to detect it. And
Gina, saying something to me in my mind right now, and it's triggering a lot of things, and I don't know how. And you're saying you have this Paige law trying to be established in the state of New York, but I'm hearing you saying this, and I don't know how to articulate this to parents that that little thing that you think might not be a big thing could be a huge thing. How can you drill that home to people so they can understand how severe, how rare that this is? Even most doctors don't even understand what it is. How can you portray to parents out there that they have to take this seriously when their child telling you, my head hurts, I'm vomiting, I can't focus, so on, so on, so on? What is being said? What are you doing at your foundation to teach other parents about this?
I share my story with everybody and anybody that I possibly can. And I think that people learn and things resonate more when you can see what actually happens. Unfortunately, you can't see Paige anymore. You could just see a mother that is sick to her stomach and just beyond upset. But go on the internet. People like yourselves, you're going to come up. But when you see what a child goes through that survives this, what happens to them, what happens to their families, they're in wheelchairs, they're forever handicapped, disabled. I was told the awful words, you wouldn't want Paige to have lived because she would have been what, they called the vegetable. She had nothing. But at that time, I would have shot my head off to have her. I would have done anything in the world. But I know and I see so many kids and what they have gone through and what they're going to go through for the rest of their lives. I tell the parents, go look at them. You don't want to be that parent. You don't want to be me. And there's a way to change it. So it's just getting verbal and it's getting funding to do research. They say that we're 1 in a million. But Greg and Christina, I can tell you that is the biggest line of bull crap ever. And the reason why I say that is because the numbers, they're not accurate. This is a horrible thing to even have to look at. But when I looked at my daughter's death certificate, which it took me a long time to do because I was so sick to my stomach, but I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I got to see what this says. It did not say that she passed away from an AVM, which led me to talking to so many people. I got a crazy question for you. What does your loved one's death certificate say? So if it doesn't say an arteriovenous malformation, how are the numbers right? They're not. So it's got to be a lot of changes made. So this is far more common. Even if there's our local hospital here had 16 patients, 16 kids is not enough for you in the pediatric unit? It is. It's too many. One patient is too many. So you just fight and fight and fight, and hopefully you get in a room with the right people and they will help you and guide you to what you have to do. And I'm thankful and grateful that I have met and come in contact with the most amazing people. And we're going to make some insane changes.
Gina, you're saying something that's very profound right now. I'm sorry if I cut you off, Christina. I'll give you space to speak. But you're saying something very profound to me right now, because a lot of times people just think about, in the United States, this is what they do. This is their practice, and they are doing the right practices from life to death. I'm not arguing that point at all. But what comes to my mind in the island of Jamaica, where my family is from, there's not a lot of people that do autopsies. I think there's like 1 or 2 people on the whole entire island that do autopsies. A lot of people that die don't have an autopsy at all. They say, okay, natural causes. So did they have an AVM? And how many countries in the world are like that people just die off and they just say, well, they just die from natural causes, and they never even experiment to see what actually happened to that person that died. So I do understand what you're saying with that. It could be that this number that we're saying 1 in a million is skewed because nobody really looks at it. Because the person is dead, they're dead. They don't really care.
Sure.
I felt that. I really do feel that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
right.
Did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Well, I will touch on another thing. You don't even have to have somebody autopsied. I don't know, I can't speak for like other hospitals in other countries, but when a patient comes in and they get to a final diagnosis of what's going on with that person, like when everybody went into the hospital, we finally all got a diagnosis of what it was. They found out that you had an AVM. That's what you had. Whether you came out or you didn't, that's what you went in for, right? So somewhere in that, it should say an AVM, but it doesn't all the time. It still will say, Greg came in with a cranial hemorrhage, left in cardiac arrest, but he's fine. It needs to specifically say arteriovenous malformation. And I get it. Like, I've talked to so many people in the medical industry. It is the paperwork. It's difficult. It's grueling. I get it. But if you don't have the facts and numbers that are correct, how can you gauge what's actually happening out there? So we got to push. I know it sounds crazy, but it's so true if you think about it.
Now, Gina, one of the things for me that I would love for you to bring a little more light to, you've been utilizing the word scans, and for other parents, and even for myself, who I hope one day I am a parent to a healthy, beautiful child. What scans are you speaking about, if you could specify? So if
Sure.
people,
We were blessed to get with a team in the very beginning, and we were doing early detection screenings, which we know screenings is just a series of questions asking about your family history, things that you might be experiencing, so forth. But we all know that can only take you so far. All that is questions. That's the only thing a screening is. But the scanning piece is actually taking it to the next step. Would you like to have imaging done to actually see if you have this inside of your brain? Because, you're telling me you get headaches, your aunt had this, your uncle had this, blah, 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 blah. But if you just leave and that's how you want to take it, fine. But we know early detection, you got to delve a little bit further. That's how we find breast cancer. That's how we find cavities. We do imaging. We do all of these things. And it's going into right now an MRA machine, which is the magnetic imaging. If they think that it's something a little more severe, then you'd have to, sedation gets involved, dyes get involved. I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor. But I will tell you, we have some amazing, amazing research that the foundation is funding that hopefully to God will help provide more access to imaging and make it much easier and accessible for children and the world.
Gina,
And I don't want anybody to have to hear the word no.
Gina,
'Cause
I'm gonna go a little bit back on like a devil's advocate type of thing on this, and I want to know what type of answer you would actually give to that. It's expensive. MRAs are expensive. My insurance won't cover that, and my child, they'll get over it. Why is it so necessary for us to get that for a child that majority of the time is clear and you just wasted $10,000? So let's talk a little bit more about those panels you was talking about earlier and how significant those panels are. And if that red flag comes up as saying that this person has a marker, how significant that they need to get these MRAs done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it all goes back to having numbers. You gotta have numbers to back up your disease and why this is so crucial and so important. The more people that test positive for these markers or things like that, the more children that are born that are found with these diseases. And this could also be leading to finding so many other diseases. I'm hoping that this type of imaging, scanning, awareness, genetic testing is going to become the norm, where insurance companies don't dictate, where doctors can say, this is what I want. Go scan my patient. I mean, we got that far. I always use breast scan imaging as the perfect example because, we have teenagers. You could just go in for a mammogram, anybody. Christina, you probably remember years ago, you had to be, this, that, this, that. We can walk in the mall now, get our breast examined, get everything done, and you're out the door. But how long did it take to get that? How much research? How many numbers? How many people had to fight like hell to get that? So I feel that this should be part of the everyday with pediatrics and all the little milestones that we do. All this money is spent on vaccines and all this other bullshit. You can't send your school for this kid unless they have the shot for this. You can't da 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 da. Like, why can't we find this? Do more with offering imaging to people. I mean, how many kids are dying of brain cancer? Could you think about how many people, how many lives would continue where they don't, because we don't have the ability. We're not allowed to research different parts of our body at our own will. It's dictated by insurance companies. There are plenty of doctors out there that would love to do it, that believe in it. But, I've been on the phone with the insurance company. I made them cry. Make them freaking cry. Say, okay, you call me and when your loved one, is gone because of something simple.
Well, Gina, you're going very deep, and I really appreciate that. But I want to just pause for just a moment, because during our show, we allow our audience to ask us questions. And right now, I have a very interesting question I would like you to answer that one of our audience member has asked us. So let me pull it up on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'll read it. Oh, Christina, would you read it out for us, please?
At what age should imaging scanning happen? Should it be a part of newborn necessities, or should it only happen if early detection points to positive outcomes? Thank you, Yolanda.
Okay. Again, I'm going to say I'm not a doctor or a nurse. I'm just speaking from my heart and from myself and from all the people I talk to around the world. I feel that this should happen at the earliest stage of life as possible. With the technology that's out there right now, it's difficult. It is very difficult to get newborns to stand still, to put them in for imaging. But if it's something that, it becomes the norm, it's just going to happen. That's the one piece of it. The chances that somebody's going to say they saw a sign or symptom. I'll give you an example, and I'm not sure what the right answer was. I noticed specific marks on Paige's skin and a droop in her eye that drove me bananas. And I said it to my pediatrician a million times. And it was one of those little things that a mother would notice. Not saying anything against the fathers, but you just, you pick your kid apart. Paige had a droop in her eye. She had a spot on her face, which was telangiectasia, which was a little spider web of veins. She also had one in her leg. Never went away. And I'm like, why does she have this? This is so weird. And they're like, oh, it's just going to go away. It's nothing. Looking back, again, asking people, did you kids have any spots on their face, telangiectasias, any droop in their eye? Most did. Could they have had a blood condition passed down called HHT? Could they have had other genetic markers passed down from my husband or any of us? Sure, they could have. Unfortunately, Paige is gone, and I'll never know the answers there, other than just having myself, my husband, my children, any family members that I can get my hands on, that I can do any genetic pieces with. Otherwise, they're not gonna say, be like, oh, does lightning strike twice? Yeah, it does.
You're bringing up something pretty interesting, and you talked about it a little bit earlier, but then we went away from it. I want to come back to it. How important, since this happened in your family, and we're not sure how this condition comes about, how important, if someone has an AVM rupture or an aneurysm rupture in their family, how is it important that the people within their immediate family get tested?
I love that you say that, Greg. Well, I'll tell you, I have some family members that couldn't get their kids scanned fast enough because they know. I've had family and friends that say, I'm too scared. I don't want to know, which blow my freaking mind. I've had a lot of family just shut down and they don't really ask me about it. But let me tell you, I don't know. You're a parent. Look at all the people that I know right around the corner that have been affected by this. and all the reasons that people don't know about it that we're talking about are valid. So yeah, everybody in my family should. They should absolutely. It's their choice, and they don't want to, and they don't. It's a shame. And I get it though, insurance. I completely get it. But you know what? Get on the phone, scream at them. I don't know. Do everything you can. Stand outside a pediatrician, show Paige's face, say, "This is my niece. This is my cousin. Really? You're going to do this to me?"
Christina, I'm sorry. I have so much questions, so I'm jumping in quickly. If you need to jump in, just jump in, please, sister.
You want to take a sip of water, though?
No, I don't want to take a sip of water. I want to ask questions.
like, I know, I'm too much.
I thought your mouth was dry.
Easy. But
I'm joking. No, we are so honored, Gina, and everyone who is watching, and how informative this is. And I'm sure that people are watching, and the things that you're saying, because you're being so transparent. And I love that these are thoughts that a lot of people have. And it's unfortunate, you think about insurance, but just like you said, like, even if it just means you taking your child to the emergency room, insurance or not, and being able to save your child's life or a family member's life. With that being said, I'll give the floor back to Greg.
yeah, give the floor back to me. First of all, I gave you the floor, so I need you to understand that. Okay.
Right.
All right, back to seriousness now. But hold on, you have a response to what you responded with. Yolanda says thank you. Gina, I hear that. I hear what you're saying about how your family should, and some of them don't. But you said something very interesting, and it throws me off when I hear that myself. People say, "Well, I don't want to know if I'm sick. I don't want to know if this is happening to me." I'm like, I get that, because you probably have some past trauma that you haven't dealt with, and you're still in that childish mentality that you don't want to know what your health is like. I get that. But if you look at us three right now on this screen, myself, Christina, and Gina, we're not supposed to know each other at all. There is no reason that we should know each other. The only reason we know each other is because of the AVM. And this AVM situation, it wasn't something that gradually happened. The rupture was instant. The day before, Christina probably was doing jumping jacks and jumping up and down and dancing all over the place. Paige was being a little kid, probably on the swings, doing everything that she could possibly do. I was driving a truck going back and forth across the nation. I wasn't thinking about this stuff. Then all of a sudden, life changes instantly. And once it changes, you cannot go back. So we're saying to do these scans, do these tests, so you can maintain the life. Because if you catch this before it ruptures, life could be completely different. Because once it ruptures, life is different. I don't know anybody that had an AVM rupture that is the same as they were before. Have you met anybody, ladies?
No.
Gina, I'll let you go first.
No. I just recently met a beautiful, amazing 6-year-old boy. This kid is a rock star. And he survived it. And he is just incredible. And at first, I didn't realize that it was him, looking at his beautiful face. And even when he talked, but then, I saw things. But I've also met kids and seen kids, and I know that you both have, that their deformities and reliving how to learn, how to walk, how to talk, and at such a young age when you're hanging out with your friends and just trying to be a kid, a teenager, anybody. You're so different. You're so different. And your family is.
And I'm sorry, Gina, because I'm bringing you through a place that I know is very difficult, and I really appreciate you actually opening up your heart to us about this. And me and Christina could talk about this all day, how our lives is different because we've been affected internally with this. But this has affected you in a place that we cannot even fathom at all. So, not just for yourself, we're saying to get scanned, but your loved ones, for your family, from your mothers to your brothers to your wife to your husband, whomever that's in your life, it affects them too. I don't think people understand that. And help me, Gina, really help me with this. I need you, if you can, take us to that place that when you found out that this happened to Paige,
Mhm.
how did you feel? And if someone was in the gaps like how you are in the gaps right now, how much better it would have been for you to have this information beforehand. And I'm sorry I'm bringing you here, but I just
No,
want you to I want you to drill this home.
no, this is, and there's a lot of parts to it. And so I got a phone call from school. Paige was not the kid frequent flyer to the nurse's office. She just liked to be there and party and eat food and laugh and be wild. And they're like, Paige has a really bad headache and she's crying. And I'm like, oh God. And I just had pulled in from Costco. As soon as I heard that, pulled out of my driveway. Within, I don't know, a minute, I didn't even get up my block. Called me right back. They're like, Paige vomited and she's unresponsive. And I'm like, flying. I'm like minutes from school. I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, oh my God, she must have the flu, something. I'm calling my husband. I'm like, Paige is at school. She's really sick. I'm going up there right now. I get up there. I walk in and it felt like I was just walking into a room filled with ghosts because naturally the teachers were there, the staff, and I walked in and everybody's face was just white. And I'm like, this is weird. I go into the nurse's office. Paige is laying there on the bed and she's having seizures. And I'm like, Paigey, what? And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, hello, nothing. And it felt like an eternity. Was it an eternity? I don't know. First responder comes in. I will tell you, he looked a little worried too. Didn't seem to be able to get her vitals fast enough. Didn't know what was happening. I believe in keeping your scared negative energy inside when you're around your children. You don't want them to feel the fear. So I was just being cool, saying to myself, all right, this is fine. It's a fever. And I'm like, come on, like, let's go. Everybody just looked like they were freaking the fuck out, as I was. Get in the ambulance. It was freezing cold. And I'm just looking at her little body and she's just flailing. And I'm like, let's go. I had a cop come up to me, ask me for my ID, ask me questions. And I'm looking and I'm like, what? I don't even know what's going on right now. Like, let's go. Whole ride there. I'm starting to lose my shit. I'm looking at my daughter and I see the fear in their faces in the ambulance. And I'm like, give her something now. I'm like, what is happening? Get there. I don't know how my husband made it there. Same time as I did. And he works not close. I don't even know. And we got into the emergency room and they were on top of her. I didn't even know, bringing her back to life. She was being paddled in front of my face. And I'm like, what is happening? It's like out of body experience. And she never spoke to me. She never looked at me. And all they said was, she's in a grave situation, you know. And they came out and they're like, we think we have to get her in for imaging. Situation's very grave. And I just like felt my inside leave my body because I knew. I mean, nurses were walking out of the room crying. I remember, and I'm usually a really calm, cool person. I remember saying to somebody, I was like, the fuck are you crying about? I'm like, why is she crying? Because I knew they knew something was really bad. And it happened she was gone in a few hours. Gone. And I think it rocked that hospital. It rocked my world. And when they told me that if I knew it was there, I could have fixed it and should be here. And there's a hole inside me that cannot be fixed. And nobody should live like this. Nobody. My 2 other kids should not have to look at their parents every day is Groundhog Day. It's the same day. It's torture. You laugh, you cry, but tomorrow's the same day. Same shitty day. Same kitchen table with less plates, less everything. Something if I knew, I could have fixed it. But I don't live with that because nobody talked about it then. That's why we're here.
Gina, I'm so sorry I had to take you through that, but I am so thankful that you actually shared your story, because I know me and Christina talk about this a lot, and me and Christina joke around a lot, and we do that because it's therapeutic for us to actually show people that they could come out of this. They could come out of that depression state as being a survivor. But I don't think myself, or I can't speak for Christina, but I know for myself, I don't know how this is for you. And I really want people to understand this so much that it pricks them in their heart, to like how the Susan G. Komen Society and Foundation is so strong on breast cancer awareness, or breast cancer awareness. I want this to be the same type of thing, because nobody should go through this actual pain and suffering. Nobody. And it can be prevented. That's the major thing that I think people are missing, and we want to connect those dots. It can be prevented. This awareness, education, getting scanned, getting those tests done are vital. And we're doing this not to open up old wounds. Those wounds are going to be there for us for life. We just don't want you to have that same exact story.
Right.
Am I right?
You are 1,000. You couldn't be more right. Couldn't be more right. And it's just, as a parent, it's sink or swim. Do I want to stay in my bed all day, every day? I get it now. I'm not a drug addict, I'm not a whatever, but I get why people do that to numb themselves. I don't want to think most days, but I chose to bring people into this world that I love more than life itself.
Right.
I love more than anything in the world, and I would do anything for them. And Greg, I know we've said it, it's a murderer. So I live every day in a courtroom until it's over and locked up. Fairness is done.
You are a hell of attorney in that courtroom, honey.
Tell it to my husband, who is an attorney.
You are a hell of an attorney for that courtroom.
Christina, we got some more comments that came in. You want to do the honors?
Is that me?
Yes, I said Christina.
Christina, Gina.
Flustered. I told you guys not to get me flustered.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was the same way. I was in the background wiping my eyes too. Trust me.
Yeah, I was in the back. I'm like, we're on live. All right. Miss Carissa, I had a bike accident when I was about 9, which I was passed out for. I don't know how long. My parents said for hours. I hit my temporal, but my AVM was in the back. To this day, I still believe my AVM formed from then and ruptured in November of 2021. Have you ever heard of this happening, or only occurring at birth? Thank you, Miss Carissa.
Me personally, I've always been told that a person is born with it. Some of them are so tiny, and especially at birth, they're smaller than a pinhead. And you don't always see them. They don't always get detected. I have heard people that get into accidents and then they say, oh, we found out that I had a AVM or an aneurysm. I don't have the answers to that. I'm hoping that the research that the foundation is about to take on is going to shed some light and get some answers to that. But as far as I know, you're born with it. It develops in utero. And like I say, whether it chooses to rear its ugly face or not, they can stay dormant from what I know, but they can also develop in different parts of the body. But we know that the brain is the most crucial.
Christina, we
Hope
got
that
some more
answered the question.
Yeah, that's a great question and great answer. Thank you so much. We got some more questions, Christina. Let me see if I can pull them up. Here we go.
Miss Yolanda, if a child presents in school with a headache over a period of time, do you think a school nurse should be aware enough to recommend scanning? Is that one of the things that this is being asked for?
Oh, Yolanda, you hit my you hit me right there. So, people say, oh, you don't want to scare parents, you don't want to scare everybody. No, I don't. But does every school have a concussion training, AED training, which is, the bringing you back to life, that machine? So that's why I said Paige wasn't a frequent flyer. Some kids are, some kids aren't. Don't put your blinders up, okay? I know stories of kids that went into that nurse's office every day. Yes, that nurse should be proactive. Is she trained on signs and symptoms of strokes? Kids can have strokes. And you know what? Maybe it's a concussion. Maybe it's just a sinus. Maybe it's something. But if they come in there, I'm going to say twice in a week, pick up that phone, call that parent. Be proactive. And I cannot stress that enough. And I'm going to tell you, Paige's story and the other little boy that passed away in my school district, I did AVM and brain trauma. I did like a little bit of a seminar with all the school nurses, knowing your signs and symptoms. And I created this poster, which takes you right through every single stage of what somebody with an AVM and aneurysm could be, a concussion. It could be a million different things.
Can you hold that up a little bit higher? Can you hold that up a little bit higher so everybody can see the whole thing?
Yeah.
A little bit more. There we go. Thank you.
So every school that I get the opportunity to talk to, which I hope is going to be every single one out there, these are the exact things that happen to you. Your headache, you're dizzy, you're disoriented, usually you vomit, and then you pass out. Be fast is the rules of a stroke, of any brain trauma. You pick up that phone and have that nurse or staff member or somebody, what they say to that first responder. I have somebody here that is showing signs of a possible brain trauma, not just showing they came in with a headache and they're not waking up or something like that. They need to be educated on what can be going on in a person's brain. And having the opportunity for me to talk to them, get this poster hung up right next to your choking sign, and just be proactive. These are not normal symptoms. And so what if you sent them to the hospital and it turns out that they had a bad headache and maybe they just throw up? So what? You don't have to think about all the other horrible things. Don't be scared to say something is really wrong and insist. And when that 911 responder or first responder, get that person in that ambulance. Don't sit around and waste time asking questions. Get all your questions answered en route to the hospital. Deal with that shit then. But yes, they did it with my son last year. The school nurse called us and she was upset because my son kept coming in for headaches. And she was like, Mrs. Keely. And I'm like, I know, I get it. And it scared me. And the last time I called, because I had already had him scanned, and I said, holy shit, he could have an aneurysm. And I walked in that hospital. I'm like, please don't ask me many questions. This is what I want. And I'm not leaving. And then I like took him to the side. I told him who I was, but I can only go so far. I'm like, I don't care. I got all day.
So yeah, basically, you're saying that us as parents, and Christina, hopefully one day you'll be the same way. Us as parents, you have to be educated on these things as well, because a lot of times a medical professional will tell you, well, the child will grow out of it.
Yeah.
Let's do some tests to see if what he needs to be or she needs to grow out of, and
Right.
not the word of a medical professional, because a lot of times they haven't seen this, so they don't understand what it is. So that's their answer for it. We have some more questions, so I'm gonna allow Christina to go and do her thing.
Miss Donna Dunkley. Gina, I feel your pain. I'm so sorry. Must be frightening for you as a mom. My heart goes out to you. God be with you and your family. That was more of a statement. Thank you, Donna. That is how we all feel. Miss Saida Holmes. She said, thank you for sharing your experience, your story, and the love for your daughter. Miss Gina, I will let you know, my cell phone is on silent, but it has been blowing up from my girl chat of them saying, I love Gina, her energy throughout this live, just FYI. And obviously, here's the comment. Your story and the love for your daughter, you are a very strong woman. And I will repeat that again because I am in absolute of agreement. Miss Gina, you are a very strong woman.
Thank you.
Very strong woman. Miss Yolanda said, thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you. I have to. Thank you for letting me share it. Thank you for listening.
Oh, Greg, you're on mute, honey. We can't hear you. Oh, Gina, it's just you and I, honey. So,
Okay, you could be hearing me. So, Gina, I had this question, not necessarily a question, but it's something that you have brought up to me earlier, and I want you to really drill that home to us. And you talked about it just a little bit just now with a response to Yolanda, and it was about training school districts on how to deal with someone that comes in with those symptoms. Are you creating a program for that? And the reason why I'm asking that, and it seems like Yolanda is playing a little bit coy. She is a AVM survivor as well, but she was in the EMT service. She was actually in charge of EMT inside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and she never heard of AVM before that.
Yeah.
So she did a lot of training that she was doing before that, and then she had the AVM, and she asked other EMTs. They didn't have any understanding of that as well. So I'm very curious about this training that you're pulling off, and I was wondering if I can connect you with Yolanda, and you guys can actually branch this out all over the country, like your dream is with this actual thing that you're doing right now. Can you talk about it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're looking to bring AVM Awareness Day, roll it out in the schools because, like I said, we got to get to these families and people at the earliest stages. We allow the kids to participate in childhood cancer, which is so, so important. Suicide prevention, all of these things. And the kids on the younger level get these, days of fun and fundraising, which is very important, but it's more about getting it out there. The little kids, we don't want to scare them. I have this amazing video that I've created, which is just, it explains a brain AVM in the sweetest way. And it was done by all of my friends and family's kids, a whole group of them, and each gets to narrate a piece of that. But in addition, for them, it's awareness equals kindness, and understanding is understanding if their friends become different because of this. And on the older levels is talking to these kids about it. But all the schools, the staff, the nurses, you know what? You can make time to get educated on, like I said, the AED machines. You all have to have training for that. You know, give me 15 minutes to get in front of you. Let me talk to you. Know the signs and symptoms about brain trauma. Okay. Give me that opportunity to educate you as best as I can and my experiences. So you can come back and ask me questions. Let me teach you how to be proactive with the first responders that come. Don't be afraid to be on the phone with the parent, if this kid's coming in. You know, one is too many. One, two times, but the awareness project, it's so greatly needed in the schools. It's such an easy thing and a fun thing for the kids to roll out. We give the kids these AVM awareness bracelets, provide them to the staff as well at each school. I mail them out to you or I deliver them. The sports teams can put out banners. They can, at their games, get creative and fun about it, while raising awareness. They'll hear, oh, brain AVM, and they'll watch my video. All the parents are going to get, a video sent home to them, virtual backpacks and all that. But schools should know, because there are a lot of kids that have lost their lives. They're all over. A lot of nurses that are sitting here right now and going to see this video and be like, holy shit, I remember that kid. He was in here. She was in here. It's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault that this happened. But things that you can do to maybe make the situation better. Why wouldn't you want to be? Why shouldn't a school have this in play? Why shouldn't a school have this in play? This day is just as important as every other day.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. And this is what this show is all about, just trying to bring awareness. Because normally it's just me and Christina talking. Sometimes we have guests on it, but we really wanted to drive in the point of what this AVM thing is about, especially in the month of October. We've been off since what, July? Is that right, Christina? Is it July,
Yeah.
the last show we had?
Wow.
So we've been off since July, but we wanted to come back. This is the only reason why we came back, is to bring awareness to this. And the first thing that came to my mind is like, I got to get Gina on the show. I said, Christina, I need to link you with this particular woman, because what she is about is what we are about. And she has a hunger. I could barely get in touch with her. I text her. You know how many different types of means of ways I was trying to get in touch with Gina?
I go
would
into a
text
black
her,
hole
I
lot,
email
though.
her. No, don't say anything now, Gina. Now you want to talk to me. I email her, I text her, I do all these type of things to get in touch with. But when I do these things and I don't get a response, I know it's not because she's trying to avoid me. I know that she is so dedicated to the life of educating people about this. And I'm so happy that we have connected, that we can actually do the things that we're doing. Her gift is going, raising funds, talking to people, getting the ball moving in the direction of awareness. Our gift, Christina, is doing the shows and bringing this awareness to people all over the world. We have your friends, we have my friends, we have people in all different parts of the country. People on here was from Jamaica. We have people all over the world that's listening to us. And we have this powerful woman is actually speaking about what we go through each and every day. So, Gina, I thank you for the bottom of my heart for you and everything that you have done. I'm always here for you. I know that it might sound weird, but if you need anything from me, I'm always here. You know that. So
I know. I love you. You don't
I
stop.
love you too, my sister. I love you too. That's why I really appreciate you. And I just thank you for coming on the show and talking to our audience. And I'll
Thank
leave it
you.
with Christina.
Same with me, Gina. It has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, even from our pre-interview, I mentioned to you, I'm very big with energy. You are absolutely filled with light, and
Thank you.
in addition to Paige's light. And I really, something you said earlier, and it just kind of stuck with me, but may every life that you save during this journey of you doing this fill that hole that you say that you have, because you are an absolute light, and I am so honored to have you here today. Absolutely.
The work that
I don't know why we're zoomed in on my face. I don't know why we were zoomed in on my face. Greg doesn't read the room. He's a Virgo.
I read the room perfectly fine, Christina.
I'm an Aries. Gina, he's not reading the room. I needed to
read the
say
room
that
perfectly.
because I said that during our interview. Gina, all jokes aside, like I said to you then, the fact as you as a mother, as you as an advocate, we are so honored the first day of us coming back for you to share this, to share awareness. You are doing something much more than I think that you may not even understand at this very point. But this is what the universe wanted you to do, and you're doing it. And I'm so honored to even be a part of it. And you are a beautiful spirit, and we're just honored. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank
with
you
us.
both. And
Really.
I can't wait to celebrate when all the work we've done detects and saves that first life, because that first life that we save together is just going to blow up the universe. And
Yes.
there it is, right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Greg might even get some hair, Gina.
Well, he can't get hair now because if he doesn't,
Greg, people gonna get some bangs.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some bangs. Absolutely.
All right, Greg, if you come back with hair,
listen.
y'all leave me alone, okay? Leave me alone.
Greg, if I could share something exciting with you guys before we get off.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
This is your show.
I just want to share with everybody all of the funding and fundraising that we've been doing. I know everybody's like, where does the money go? I've been hell-bent not putting a dime to anything unless I know it is going to be effective and it's going to be what I want, what I know is needed. And I cannot wait to announce to everybody, we are funding a AVM research project. There has not been anything done like this ever. We have an entire team that the Paige Keely Foundation is sponsoring and paying to do groundbreaking research. They've already started researching on Paige's case, and I cannot wait to share more of this journey with the world. So over the next few weeks, I'll be able to share more, but it's happening. So I'm out of my mind about it.
Gina, we throughout the whole entire show, we had your website down at the PaigeKeelyFoundation.com. If we do need to get in contact with you, what are the ways or the means for us as our audience to get in touch with you, to ask more questions, to get involved with the education of the different nurses across the country? You know, what do we do to actually get in touch with you?
So I have created a link on my website, which is called the AVM Awareness Project. It gives you the information that we will provide to your school district. And I'm even happy to do this in a business. I would love to come in, whether you have 2 employees, 1 employee, I love it. You can message me through there about your district, and then you'll see underneath each school that participates, and if they have the option to fundraise, if they want, it gets a link where kids can pass it along, do their own fundraising ways, and I can track each school and say, this school raised so much money. But that's how you can get in touch with me, for the AVM Awareness Project. And I'll get an email, I'll get a text, and I hope this blows up, because it should.
No, I don't want the show to end, because it seems like there's so much things that we can talk about and dive into, but I really appreciate everything that you have done. next week we have another great show. Christina, do you want to do the honors, or you want me to handle that from here? Since you've been talking about my bangs and how I'm going to come in with new bangs next week.
I was just about to get into your form-fitting shirt, but you go ahead, honey.
You see what kind of life I live over here, Gina?
Oh my God! If we were all together in a room,
I'm trying to look good. I'm trying to look great, and she won't let me
Greg would be on the other side, Gina. You and I would sit next to each other, and Greg would be on the other side. That's why he has me on the bottom right now, because he doesn't want us too close together. It's too much for him.
So next week, we're going to have part 2 of our AVM Awareness series. We're going to be dealing with Selena Ramirez, and she's going to talk about spinal AVMs. Her daughter has a spinal AVM, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that, because a lot of times we just think about AVMs, we think about what's inside of the brain. There's other places that the AVM can form. And this will be the next episode that we will have. So tune in next week, same time, the same day, the same way. We'll get you through Instagram and send you out a notice on Facebook or also YouTube, and wherever you like to watch it, please join us. And if you want to have more comments, please put the comments in underneath this actual video in any place, Facebook or YouTube. And if you want to contact Gina, how can they contact you on Instagram, Gina?
At Paige Keely Foundation. All you have to do, just Google Paige Keely, Paige Keely AVM, and I will pop up everywhere.
Cool.
Good, bad, and different. I'm there.
Cool.
Can't not find me.
I thank you so much, Gina, for coming on tonight. Christina, as always, I can't wait to see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. I love you all.
Love you too, sister. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Everybody.
You too.
Thank you for joining us. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right. Good night.